Fuji Super TEC 24-hour race. Creating a carbon-neutral future is a matter of purposeful passion and action. Multi-company collaboration. Hydrogen engine Corolla is something people relate to and are motivated to action by. It requires this kind of buy-in. Carbon neutrality should be achieved through a sense of empathy and shared goals. Creating, transporting, and using energy is what carbon neutrality is about. It takes a lot of effort from all industries. Super Taikyu series in Suzuka. Broadening our options for transporting. There were not this many company names at first. A Super Taikyu series in Okayama. This time in Okayama, we've expanded the range of energy options, and we've now gained even more peers on board on the using side. Like-minded colleagues gathered. Super Taikyu series in Suzuka. Every industry must do their part to achieve carbon neutrality. Purposeful passion and action will change how our future looks. The advent of the hydrogen engine with something like racing, which we are all familiar with, is giving us a preview of the hydrogen society of the future.
Moving forward, fellow companies took on new challenges. Toyota Motor Kyushu and Kita Kyushu City signed a partnership agreement for carbon neutrality. Obayashi Corporation, a hydrogen transport management system to ensure successful operation of hydrogen supply network. We're now in the process of developing such a system in Namiya Town as a demonstration project. Fukuoka City, we will work together with Toyota Motor Corporation to promote initiatives to utilize hydrogen in more fields. Kawasaki Heavy Industries built the world's first liquefied hydrogen carrier, Suiso Frontier, which transported liquefied hydrogen from Australia to Japan. Toyota Transportation, with an eye to a carbon-neutral future, to determine its viability, we are conducting trials with 2 trucks that use biofuel for parts transportation. For Subaru to take part in the Super Taikyu series is quite rare. As a first step to opening up carbon-neutral options, I feel a strong sense of responsibility. Mazda, we're thrilled at the challenge to search for new motorsports options together with other makers. It's a true honor. Embracing the challenges and widening options is something we take with a great sense of duty. This type of purposeful, willful passion and action will entirely change our future 10 and 20 years ahead of us.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to start this press conference. The moderator, the MC, is handled by Yuta Tomikawa of Public Relations Group of Toyota Motor Corporation. So first of all, let me introduce who are on the stage today. Toyota Motor Corporation President and CEO and the owner of Rookie Racing, Akio Toyoda. Gazoo Racing Company's President, Koji Sato. So without further ado, President Toyoda and President Sato, please move to the podium. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Rookie Racing Garage today. Everyone, I'm Akio Toyoda. It has been a year since the Fuji 24-hour race last year, where the hydrogen Corolla made a debut, and we started doing press conferences at Super Taikyu. Over the past year, Toyota's carbon neutrality efforts have progressed. The number of supporters who joined the challenge has increased and our cars have evolved. In previous press conferences, we have announced the addition of new members. But this is a special opportunity to hear from the drivers who are usually busy on the grid and in the pits. We have made the seating with round tables today, so please feel free to mingle and ask about the highlights of the race and behind-the-scenes stories that you normally can't hear. Over the past year, Rookie Racing's sponsors, drivers, and race queens have become more diverse. I wish to introduce each of them individually, but due to time constraints today, I will introduce them with a thank you word that each of them uses. Starting with Finnish, for Mr. Jari-Matti Latvala, it's kiitos. That's thank you in Finnish, right? Kiitos. So let's say kiitos. And for Asian partners, Chinese is xie. Let's say called xie together. And the Filipino is salamat. Salamat. Thai for the pretties is kopun kap. Kopun kap. Sounds like it? Sounds correct. By the way, please note that kirei in Japanese, which means pretty, means the opposite in Thai. So kirei, when you want to say kirei to Toyota pretty, you should say Nara Makman. If you say kirei, you might be causing some problems, so please note that. And for Japanese drivers, they come from different backgrounds, and let's ask each driver to say thank you in their dialect of their hometown, starting with Iwate Prefecture. Sasaki-san, please say arigato in Iwate. No difference. Sounded the same. What about Iguchi-san from Fukuoka Prefecture? Not much difference. What about Gunma Prefecture, Ogura-san and Oshima-san? No, not interesting at all. What about Okayama, Hiroshima, Gamo-san and Matsui driver? The Yamauchi-san from Hyogo Prefecture. What about you? At long last, we hear something that really sounds like a dialect. And after that, as you have received some information at hand, and it's not the dinner, but you have some refreshments and cookies that you can enjoy, and some Rookie Racing, some manager loves the prosciutto. Unfortunately, we simply cannot offer prosciutto here this evening. So that's all from me. Thank you, Mr. Toyoda.
President Sato, please. Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm Sato from the Gazoo Racing Company of Toyota Motor Corporation. So from myself, I'd like to explain about our initiatives over the past year and the evolution of the hydrogen-powered Corolla using some slides. Well, when we think about it, last year, the hydrogen engine vehicle, we had an unclear future technology-wise. But even though it was still unclear, we decided to challenge to join and finish the 24 hours race. So that was a target, to finish the 24 hours race. And this challenge was made because we wanted to create more options to achieve carbon neutrality. And to this action, there were many supporters who resonated with our action, and they became our fellow partners. And that challenge has been expanding since. This has evolved in the respective fields of producing, transporting, and using hydrogen. So this was the kind of the year of evolution in that sense. And in terms of producing, FH2R from Namiya Town in Fukushima Prefecture, the solar power from Yamanashi Prefecture, geothermal power from Obayashi Obayashi Corporation, and brown coal from Kawasaki Heavy Industries, Iwatani Corporation, and J-Power, and finally sewage biogas from Fukuoka City, all have led to expand the options for hydrogen production. So we're able to use more diverse hydrogen. So this is the expansion of options seen on the hydrogen side too. As for the transporting side, CJPT has changed the liners of hydrogen tanks on its FC trucks from metal to resin and have succeeded in reducing weight and increasing pressure significantly. We have received a lot of cooperation from METI, MLIT, and the prefectural fire stations for this endeavor. And in the past year, the amount of hydrogen transported has increased to approximately 4 times over the past year. As for the using side, we have been participating in 6 races, including this 24-hour race at Fuji, and the performance of the hydrogen engine, which is key. Last year, at the first race that we participated in, it was less than a gasoline engine's performance. But since then, we have improved 20% in maximum output and 30% in maximum torque. And currently, for this race, actually, the output has gone above the gasoline engine. This is an achievement in a very short time. Other than that, including aerodynamic features and others, the technology and know-how acquired here was the source to create the GR Corolla Morizo edition and have been able to launch that. It has received a very good reputation. And also the hydrogen filling time that we do the filling in here. And since Mount Fuji is very close by to this site, if we think about the hydrogen engine, how long it will take to commercialize that, if I can use the analogy of climbing Mount Fuji with this diagram, many things written here, but I think we're at around the 4th station in terms of the hydrogen engine commercialization path to the peak of the mountain. And we'll be making various challenges, not just for the commercial side, but also for the passenger vehicle side too. And for the filling of hydrogen, we had a large evolution too. The filling time was reduced from approximately 5 minutes in the first race down to 1.5 minutes. And for the hydrogen filling, if I can use this Mount Fuji climbing analogy, I think it's about the 4th station as well. And for hydrogen, the high-pressure gaseous form, we will make continuous efforts. And also, in order to enhance further efficiency, we'll be challenging the filling with liquefied hydrogen as well. So for the hydrogen filling time, we will continue our efforts. Also from this year, in order to enhance further options, we have been introduced a new GR86 based vehicle that runs on carbon neutral fuel. So this is motorsports, so we are both a friend and rival with Subaru. With Subaru, we have done a joint development, and using this same vehicle, we're going to have a head-to-head competition for the future technology development, so we can to promote that. And also, Mazda-san will also be participating with the biodiesel fuel engines. I feel the expansion of the circle of empathy and our fellow partners. And also, Tom Spirit is competing with a vehicle based on the GR86 as well. It's a gasoline-powered vehicle, but it's more closer to a market or commercial market vehicle than the STQ class vehicles. It's closer to the production model, so we'll use the races to train the vehicles and apply what we learned to the development of production models and parts. So as I have explained here, going forward, together with our many friends and partners, we'll further promote the concept of making ever better cars through motorsports. And finally, since last year's participation from Fuji 24-hour race, 1 year has passed. And with that first challenge, actually during the night hours with the electrical system failures, there was some pit stop for 4 hours. And the checker flagged car for STX class, compared to this top car, the number of laps, we had just 47%. So it was a very tough challenge for us. But after a year, we've made a lot of challenges and improvements. So So we hope to show how much we've been able to improve ourselves and develop ourselves. I hope you can have a high expectation to our performance this year. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, President Toyoda and President Sato. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to move on to the Q&A session. We would like to receive questions from those of you here. If you have a question, please state your affiliation and name, and also to whom on the stage your question is addressed. And I'd like to have as many people as possible asking questions, and therefore I would like to ask you to limit to 2 questions per person. No more than 2 questions per person. So the microphone will be brought to you. So if you have a question, please raise your hand to notify us. First of all, on F, a person in green shirt. Kondo Asahi Newspaper. Thank you very much for this opportunity. My question is to Mr. Toyoda. Last year, from the very first race in Fuji, and it's been a year, and you started with the hydrogen engine challenge, and then there has been activities expanding toward carbon neutrality. So could you let us know about what happened during the past year and the improvement? Mr. Sato mentioned that it is still 40% overall up till the summit. A 24-hour race is a long race. What is your aspirations for that, and what is your purpose? Last year, we participated in this 24-hour race in Fuji, and our rookie racing, together with the Gazoo racing team, used a hydrogen engine-driven vehicle. We decided to do that. And, well, 6 months before that, Prime Minister Suga talked about achievement of carbon neutrality by 2050. That was the announcement made by Prime Minister Suga at the time. And the entire Japan wondered what carbon neutrality means and how can we achieve carbon neutrality by 2050. And there was an extended discussion on that at the time. Now, when that was happening, somehow, some people talk about the BEV is the means to achieve carbon neutrality. I think there was in some quarters that discussion took place. However, carbon neutrality, when we began to understand correctly what that meant, it involves all the parties concerned in manufacturing, transporting, and using energy, and the carbon neutrality should be achieved in all of those processes. And depending upon the energy availability and conditions, there are a variety of options to be considered. And when we began to understand that, what can we do? What should we do to have as many people as possible in the society understand that? And in terms of conducting technology development toward carbon neutrality in a more agile manner, that triggered us to consider this hydrogen engine and entering races using hydrogen-driven engines. Oftentimes, when we talk about carbon neutrality, people tend to think that we need to just create the regulations and targets, then carbon neutrality can be achieved right away. There may be some people still think in that way. However, in order to change how the future looks, we do need purposeful passion and action, and the gathering of people who share that same view and objectives and goals, and to have as many people as possible observing those activities. So from that perspective, for the past year, the people manufacturing energy, transporting, and using energy increased in number in joining us, which means those people who are really interested in trying to make a difference for the betterment of the Earth, and not focusing on single technology, but they started to consider various options to achieve carbon neutrality, and therefore not just hydrogen engines, but synthetic fuel, biofuel, many different fuels are used in entering those races increasingly, and every time the gentlemen and ladies of media have come to communicate and transmit what we are doing through those activities. And that was very instrumental in facilitating understanding of carbon neutrality correctly here in Japan. And therefore, I hope those information transmission will be continued, and I would like to thank all those efforts for inviting correct answer. The second question, the 24-hour racing and aspiration for that, there was a question. It is indeed a very grueling race, especially with respect to hydrogen-powered Corolla. As I mentioned earlier, the performance of the vehicle was improved, but even then, for finishing 24 hours, there are many technological challenges. So how can we overcome those challenges one by one with the team, and how to finish the race is our challenge today. Digressing a little bit, the time has been shortened by 5. We expected a 5 seconds improvement since last year, but according to the qualification, Morizo achieved 7 seconds faster speed. Even if the improvement of vehicle performance was 5 seconds, but at the same time, the driver improved further to 22 seconds, and therefore, Morizo, of course, has been at a very high level. So I hope you will look forward to that driving performance. As for 86 VRZ, we will be competing head-on. Those vehicles are quite new, and it's not fully completed in a sense, perfected yet. And so a great deal depends on drivers' performance and their ability. And thanks to their efforts, we've been able to bring those vehicles to this current level. The ability and the skills of drivers and the great teamwork of mechanics supporting them allowed us to demonstrate that even with the new cars, we could achieve such a high level. This is a 24-hour race, which is grueling and very tough, but I think the race itself represents a culture. So we would like to live in that and increase the excitement of that. So with many people, the friends and partners, I hope to contribute to the understanding of a 24-hour races. Thank you.
Then we'd like to go on to the next person, Shinya Yamamoto-san, please. So I'm Yamamoto Shinya, freelancer. I have a question to both President Toyoda and President Sato. Since we're here and been invited to Rookie Racing Garage, to this facility, I'd like to ask about this facility. In this area at the foot of Mount Fuji, you are now developing the Fuji Motorsports Forest, and in the middle, Rookie Racing Factory is located in the middle of this area. So it is you have the private roads, but if you go off the highway off Susono Interchange, then you are developing currently Woven Cities, and that is an autonomous driving type of centered city, whereas here will be a more manual driving kind of roads. And so this new city or new development projects being concentrated around Mount Fuji, I have the feeling that you're trying to do a model change for the surroundings of Mount Fuji. And President Toyoda usually says that for car making, you need to have the model changes for long-selling vehicles. And so your Higashi Fuji Technical Center, which is also in the neighborhood, that is also a facility that has a long history of developing cars. And I think it's like a long seller for Toyota. So are you also thinking about making changes in those facilities as well? So can you explain to me about your thoughts? Well, Yamamoto-san, you always make me troubled with your questions. You always have the tough questions. Well, Woven City and Fuji Motorsports Forest, in addition to these, in this region, we have the Higashi Fuji Technical Center for Toyota. These three facilities, like Yamamoto-san has said, it is all the past, present, and future. It can be taken as a representation of the past, present, and future in terms of car development of Toyota. But from my perspective, all of these three facilities are a place to create the future. It's all connected in that sense in my mind. And in that, we have this Fuji Speedway, and then the Rookie Racing Garage that has been newly built. The reason why I thought about having this kind of facility here is because about 60 years ago, I went to the third All Japan Grand Prix held in Fuji Speedway, and my father took me to see these races. The reason starts from that experience. So at that time, when I was a child, it's a personal experience that I had. I had admired the cars and the people who's related to cars. That kind of personal experience, I really want the current children to feel it in the same way. I want them to feel how cool the cars are and admire cars, also admire the cool drivers and admire the cool mechanics, and want them to have dreams like I want to be a car mechanic, a car engineer in the future. Myself, 60 years ago as a child, I had that very personal experience myself. So I want the children of today to have that similar kind of experience. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to see this facility here. And so going forward, if we have those kinds of dreaming children, we can have the future of cars connected with those children, and this will be a place where the attractiveness of cars will be connected to the future. And for the Higashi Fuji Technical Center, they will be developing the technology before the demonstration projects. And not only that, Higashi Fuji Technical Center is currently developing the car units that will be used in the Le Mans races that will start next week. But not only that, it's not just about the race track cars, but these vehicles that are developed in these facilities will evolve the cars that run around the streets and the cities. So it is a place that will connect into the future. Also, Woven City, it is a city of the future, but for us, we think of Woven City as a test course for demonstration and test. So it's a test course for this living lab. Using an environment where people live, we want to create the future technologies that will make people happy. So all of these three facilities is a place to create the future. And all of these three having good chemistry among each other, receiving stimulant from each other, I hope that they can all contribute to create the future. So those are my thoughts. Well, Shinya-san, do you need my answer? Because I think he already said it all, but if I can add a little bit. Like President Toyoda said, I also feel that all of these facilities are connected. Higashi Fuji Technical Center, the element technologies, the advanced technology development has been done for long years. And now using motorsports, the cars and technology is further being trained. And those trained vehicles is now going to be provided to Woven City so that their possibilities can be expanded. So this relationship among the three facilities here have a crossing or a connected relationship, and with all the combination of these three will be moving the future, I believe. Thank you. So from the two people, we have received great questions, and I think our scheduled time is coming to an end. So the next question will be the final question. So if you have any questions, please raise your hand.
Tanigawa-san, please. Tanigawa, so I'll ask one question, so addressed to President Toyoda. You talked about creating colleagues or partners, that the number of partners increased. But looking at this backward, it seems that Asian companies increased as a supporter or partner. The fact that Asian partners are joining you together, what is the significance of that, and what is the strategic intention of that? Our rookie racing together with the Gazoo Racing have been participating in Super Taikyu, and when we decided to do that, seated right there, Kuwayama-san there said that there are two visions for Super Taikyu. One is to develop vehicles. We would like to set up the class or category where the vehicle to be developed can be actually developed, and that is STQ category. And STQ, compared with ST5, I think we have more vehicles on STQ. And ST5 has the largest number, but all the other categories have a fewer vehicles than STQ. And in addition to that, in Asia, I would like, Kuwayama-san said that this motorsports, he wants that to be understood in Asia broadly. And my personal understanding is that there are many 24-hour races in Europe, but Miru-Brooklyn 24-hour race and Le Mans 24-hour races are very famous. And there are so many countries in Europe, but the 24-hour endurance races are concentrated in these two races. And as motorsports develops further in Asian countries, the Fuji, if it continues to have 24 races in Asia, and if Asian champion can be selected there, and after that, they could move on to the global championship. If sometime in the future we may be able to create that sort of a flow, the path, starting from Fuji here. And since we have the pleasure of having Asian partners here, maybe I would like to ask Alfred-san to answer you as well as an Asian partner, why he is participating here. May I ask Alfred-san to respond to that? Alfred-san, please.
Good afternoon. The question is, why is Asia in this event today? I can answer that easily because Akio-san invited us. For many years we have been together with Toyota, many decades together with my colleagues, and making cars, selling cars. But before pandemic, Akio-san invited us to be shareholders of Toyota. And it is indeed an honor and a privilege to be able to deepen the relationship with the Toyota family and the Toyota Motor Corporation. And so, using that access, we were again invited to be sponsors of rookie racing. It allows us to see how Toyota makes ever better cars. And for us, ever better cars is also ever better share value. So we'd like to continue this cycle. Thank you.
はい、ありがとうございます。今いただいた質問というのは、どうしてアジアのパートナーとしてここに来ているのかというご質問だったと思います。答えるのは本当に簡単です。明夫さんにインバイトされたからです。長年にわたって、ですからもう本当に何十年も私の同僚とともにこのトヨタの仕事をしてまいりました。その関係というのは車を作りまた売るというものでしたけれども、ちょうどこのコロナ危機の直前ですが、トヨタ自動車の株主にならないかというお話を明夫さんの方からいただきました。そういう形で関係をもっと深めることができるのは、これはトヨタファミリー、それからトヨタ自動車との関係を深めることができるのは本当に光栄に感じられることです。そういったアクセスを使いまして、それに続いて、このルーキーレーシングのスポンサーにならないかという話もいただきましたので、喜んでならせていただいたという次第です。スポンサーになることによりまして、どのような形で本当にもっといい車が作られているのか、より深く理解できますし、それを通じてもっといい車ができれば、もっと高い株価にもつながるわけですから、素晴らしいことだと思って参加させていただいている次第です。ありがとうございました。
今お答えいただいたのはフィリピンの GT キャピタル
So that was Mr. Alfred T, Vice Chairman of GT Capital Holdings. And other than that, we have Mr. Justin T, from President of Hotai Motor Company, and also Mr. Huang Yi of Zhongshan Group Holdings. So thank you for your participation in the Asian partner companies. And now I think we can take one more question. So there is one person on table H who has the hand up. I'm IT Media Business Online. I'm a web-based journalist. My name is Higuchi. I have a question to President Toyoda. Well, it's the first time that I have seen the actual hydrogen engine, and I'm very impressed with such a great initiative that you're doing. When we look at the global trend, there has been a rapid change from the gasoline engine to the EVs. But what I felt by seeing the actual engine is that maybe by by going from the gasoline engine to hydrogen engine and then go to electric vehicle, I think it would be possible to achieve carbon neutrality without changing the experience of the car so much dramatically. And based on that, my first question is, why is it that people are thinking that carbon neutrality means a shift to EV? And why is it that it's only about Toyota that is seriously working on the hydrogen engine development? What do you think? I want to ask your opinion. Another question is a hydrogen engine. I think this is a significant challenge where not so many people, no other, are challenging. As the world #1 car maker, what is the significance, or I want to hear about your passion toward this project. Thank you. I don't know if it's a hot passion, but what I can say, first of all, is in order to achieve carbon neutrality, enemy is carbon. It is not the combustion engine. The enemy is carbon. So in other words, by reducing carbon, we will be able to achieve carbon neutrality in a short time. And I think the energy production, transportation, and usage, some people are only thinking that it is only the battery-based electric vehicle is possible, or trying to create that understanding so that the investment can be concentrated in those areas. I think that might be one of the reasons why there are aggressive statements made around the battery electric vehicles. But it is a B2C market or a industry. So I think it's significant that we have more options available for the customers. And for the selection of options, it will be selected by the market and the customer. So this is a point that I really insist on, or I think is very important. In that sense, for a diversified society, diversified solution and diversified options will be necessary. This is my belief. And therefore, as one of the options, I think it is very meaningful to have one option that it will be the hydrogen engine. But just because I'm riding the hydrogen engine, it doesn't mean that Toyota Motor Corporation will concentrate only on the hydrogen engine. Toyota also is developing the battery electric vehicles. And also, more than that, Japan's strength is in hybrid technology. So we have been engaged in the hybrid engine vehicle development for a long time. And the CO2 reduction in the past 20 years, compared with other countries around the world, I believe we are made a great achievement, even compared with the other countries. So I think we should focus on how we can reduce the CO2 carbon as soon as possible, and also not to rely too much on the government, the subsidies, how we can sustainably reduce CO2, and what are the methods that we can take. And that is what we need to think together. And the important thing is the person who has the right to select is the customer and also the market. So I hope this point will be understood by the media as well. But in the past year, I have continued to talk about this point, and I think I won't say that it's only the reason, but after a year of talking about this, I think we are seeing changes in what people are talking about regarding what it means, what kind of vehicles are needed and technologies needed for carbon neutrality. And also, I also strongly believe, as I have said before, is that at the end, customers are going to select their options, what they want. And also, what's important is mobility. It will be providing the freedom of mobility for everyone. It's not just for the rich people. It's not just for the people who have the luxury of the infrastructure. Even if there are not enough infrastructure, even those people should have a freedom to move. And the OEMs, the car-related industry, is looking for a mobility that can provide freedom of mobility for all. I think this is the exploration that we're doing. So what I would like to ask to the members here, please communicate the correct information so that society and the public will be able to understand the correct data information. And I think you are cooperating in contributing tremendously in that sense. And going forward, I hope that the communication will be made that it's not only the internal combustion engine that will achieve carbon neutrality. Those are my hopes. And for this hydrogen engine, among the engineers, at the initial stages, this was not under the spotlight, this hydrogen engine. But so the engineers were quite worried that someday the development of the hydrogen engine might be terminated. So in a sense, it was a very challenging topic that they were working on. But now we have been utilizing this in the motorsports opportunities, and we're having a more open development in an agile way. And this kind of opportunity is providing energy. This is energizing the engineers who are working on this technology. So in the past year, 7 seconds was the reduction that was explained. The reason why we were able to make this achievement is because usually a car will have difficulty in reducing 7 seconds of lap time in just a year, and but this time in the racing grounds with the professional racers and the gentleman drivers and also the evaluation drivers, these three types of drivers are together exploring various ways to drive the car, and that this challenge is going to be continued going forward. So I hope that you will support this endeavor that we will be making. Thank you.
Thank you very much. In terms of embracing the challenge to achieve carbon neutrality, Fuji 24-hour race is one of the highlights of this. So this concludes the Q&A session. Thank you very much for asking questions. And President Toyoda and President Sado, thank you very much for responding to those questions as well as your initial remarks. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to move on to the photo session. So please wait for a few minutes in your own seats before the room's layout is changed. So while we are making preparations for that, the drivers of different teams as well as race queens will be introduced to you. So let me start the introduction. Please listen to me while you look at the monitor right in front of this room. First of all, ORC Rookie Racing STQ class GR Corolla H2 concept car 32. It's hydrogen engine vehicle. Masahiro Sasaki. Morizo. Driver Morizo. Hiroaki Ishiura. Yasuhiro Ogura. Yarimati Latvala. Norihiko Katsuta. And race queens Rina-san, Fua Anna-san, Anna Fua, and ORC Rookie Racing STQ class GR8686 CNF concept car 28. This is the vehicle driven by carbon neutral fuel. Naoya Gamo, Daisuke Toyoda, Kazuya Oshima, Ryuta Ukai, Yuhi Sekiguchi. And race queens are Momoka Noda-san and Mami Hinami-san. And then from Rookie Racing, manager Tatsuya Kataoka. He is the one who is very fond of prosciutto. And GR28 rival car from Subaru, the STQ class, Team SDA Engineering BRZ CNF concept, car 61, Takto Iguchi, Hideki Yamauchi. And then from GR86, we have another car participating, ST4 class, Tom's Spirit, GR8686, car 86, Shunsuke Kono, Takamitsu Matsui, Kenta Yamashita, race queens Misato Ue Unten-san and Erika Minatogawa-san. And then the special participants from Thailand, Toyota Pretties from Thailand, we have a special pleasure of receiving them. Drink-san, In-san, Kuratai-san, Nani-san, Pear-san, Pop-san, and Sai-san. Those are the participants this evening. So I have just introduced to you the drivers of different teams as well as race queens who have joined us this evening. And drivers are now moving to this room, so please wait for their arrival for a few minutes. We have all the drivers, so race queens will be coming up to the stage, and drivers who have finished the driving except for the nighttime drive are all here with us. They finished their qualifying race. So I think we are ready for the photo session. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we are ready for photo session, so we'd like to start that. So we'll first of all take the official photo for that. So please look at the official photographer right in front of you at the center. Well, some drivers look too serious. We want more smiles on their faces. One more. Okay, ready? Nice smiles, I see. Thank you very much. So we'll move on to the still photos.
はい、行きます。では行きます。ではお願いします。はい、笑顔素敵です。ありがとうございます。よろしいでしょうか。照明の皆さんよろしいでしょうか。はい。それでは選手の皆さんから見て左手側、こちら側ですね。こっち側に行きます。ではもう一度笑顔でお願いいたします。ちょっと準備が整い次第お待ちくださいね。すみません。では行きます。はい、ではもう一度行きます。では行きます。はい、どうぞお願いします。だんだん笑顔がなくなってきますので、皆さん笑顔キープお願いしますね。
ちょっとねお疲れですからね皆さんね。ちょっとここは踏ん張っていただいて。
はい。
楽しいことを考えていきましょうか。
はい、ではよろしいでしょうか。それでは向かって右手側、こちら側になります。こちら側をご覧ください。では行きます。お願いします。はい、よろしいでしょうか。では最後ですね、ごめんなさい、もう一度正面だけお願いします。オフィシャルの方、こちら見てください。お願いいたします。ちょっと肩回してですね。はい、では行きます。お願いします。はい、ありがとうございます。ではちょっとごめんなさい、楽していただいて、まず次ムービーの皆さんのちょっとお時間となりますので、少しお待ちください。
一旦リラックスしていただいて。
皆さんちょっとごめんなさい、はけていただいてよろしいでしょうか。よろしくお願いいたします。ではお席の方お戻りください。それではムービーの皆さんのお時間としたいと思います。向かってですね、右手側にもちょっとムービーの皆さんいらっしゃいますので、まずこちらの方ですね、皆さんの方に笑顔をお願いいたします。
皆さんから向かって左側ですね。
皆さんが見てごめんなさい、向かって左側になります。はい、では行きます。じゃあもう一度笑顔をお願いいたします。お願いします。なかなかキープが難しいと思います
ね、このムービーだと困るんですよね。写真と違ってね、どうしていいのかなっていうね。
はい、それではですね、そのままゆっくりとこちらの方を見ていただいて、皆さんから見て右手側の方の皆さんに笑顔をお願いいたします。最後になります。よろしくお願いいたします。はい、ありがとうございます。フォトセッション以上となります。よろしくありがとうございました。
ありがとうございました。記者会見はこれにて終了させ
This
て
will
いただき
be
ます。
the end
配信
of
を
the
視聴
press
していただき
conference.
ました皆様、
Thank you very
誠に
much
ありがとう
those
ござ
who
いまし
have
た。
been viewing online. Thank you.